If you just joined us, welcome to our program, the Good Morning Guyana Show. I'm Niam Chand here, hanging out with you, along with Andre. He's on the technical side of things. And I've got a special guest this morning. For the first time on my program, Dr. Yog Mahadeo has made himself available and very quickly, because I knew him actually from before when he was in the business fraternity. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah. And I say sir, not because I'm trying to any form of aggrandizement for you, but I know your humility. I've had interactions with you, so it's a pleasure actually having you on the program. Yeah.
Naim, it's good to be here, and I must say, coming into the studio, listening to your voice, I'm taken back to some younger days. I'm not saying you're old, but your voice on radio with cricket and so forth. So
yeah.
Good.
But it has been a pretty long journey. And by the way, I don't see them inviting me. It's not like I'm not available. People keep asking me why you're not doing commentaries, and but perhaps I'm not good enough for it. So. But I almost thought this was, you're not religious by any way or any means, right?
Well, I am and I am not. I'm just being me.
Yeah, just being, as per normal. Because
correct.
I was looking at your outfit, it looks just a little bit.
I always wear this.
You always wear
always
that.
wear this.
Right, and
yes.
But since when we last interacted, and that's about a decade ago, I've not been hearing much about you, and then the next thing when I heard that you're deemed as Dr. Yog Mahadeo. So when you were missing, you went off studying?
Yes.
Yes.
Completed my doctorate in finance.
I was about to ask you in what speciality?
Yes.
Finance.
And then I also did a bachelor's in law.
Wow, so you quite wronged it here now. But I haven't been hearing you in any working environment, so I thought for a while, this poor guy is not getting a job or something. But you're not active in business, are you?
No, I'm not, and that is true. None of the, you would struggle to find a good job to match your qualifications in Guyana if you're not a loyalist to any of the governments.
Mm-hmm. And I see there's a pun on the word loyalist, so you're not basically affiliated to any political party?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Very independent.
So in all this talking that you were doing and hosting of programs during the fracas or imbroglio, if I would call it that, in the last election, you were not necessarily on the side of the PPP or any other political party.
Not on the side of any political party. And I was not an employee of Kaito Radio as well. I was an independent person. Room 592 is my own, my brand. And so it was just that Kaito Radio agreed to carry the broadcast. And that's how it was done there. And thanks to Glenn Lal for carrying it for free. He never charged a cent. Mm-hmm. So that was good. And yeah, but I was independent and I remain independent. It was not for or on behalf of any political party.
I see you're being described as co-founder of the Article 13. Is it co, or are you the founder of Article 13?
Co works well, yes.
It works well. It goes down. It goes down. Yeah, I like the diplomacy. Right. But what is the overall focus, ambition, or intention of Article 13? I get the sense that most people who are politically ambitious, and indirectly I want to ask if politics is your ambition, they start off in either civil society work, union, some other way, and then they slide straight into politics. Are you ambitious?
That's a determination that I think is not up to me. My aim has not been political. When I was running Room 592, the aim wasn't political power. There was nothing in it for me other than to see Guyana on the right track. Like you, like every one of your viewers, and let me say good morning to everyone. It's wonderful to be here. Like everyone, we are proud, fiercely proud Guyanese, anywhere we are in this world. And it hurts when the Guyana name takes a beating. We've had situations where the US, the UK, Canada, their ambassadors had to hold up our constitution in our elections, not us alone. They had to hold up a fight for our constitution. That was embarrassing that we put ourselves down the barrel, so to speak, where we had to be rescued. Guyanese, and that's what drove me, since 2013-14, I have represented various Guyana in various fora overseas, speaking about corruption, and successive governments of Guyana have been absolutely corrupt. And so I came out because election was the biggest example of absolute government corruption, right? And so I came out speaking against it. Now, civil society, and I'm thankful you asked me this. I wanted to be quick on it. Civil society's backdrop, Article 13's backdrop, is that civil society and the entire country, we elect you to run our government, to run the business of Guyana fairly, good governance, without corruption, observing the principles of good governance. And you're not doing it, then it's time we stand up and speak out.
Fantastic. I like that, because that is what I urge people to do. We must be in a position, when I say we, the people of the country and the voters must be in a position to elect and to dismiss. And only then politicians, I think, will understand that they are not really the bosses.
Absolutely. You know? And just quickly, let me say this, to elect and to dismiss. In the meantime, what happens in between the gap? In between election gaps, what happened? Because governments are going to throw state monies into the election campaigns. You cannot compete with the PPP government when you go to election. You know, it's hard because they have state money. They have been,
Well, I don't think that's limited to the PPP. It's whoever is in government.
Whoever is in government, right? Well, I was referring to the current government.
Yes.
But the truth is that in between, it is us, the people of Guyana, that has to continue to evaluate, are they doing what they promised to do? Are they doing things that will make my sons and daughters 10, 15 years into the future, when they're not presidents anymore, that the future of our children will be secure?
But because of this factionalism, aren't we, the various factions, and I mean those for the PPP, those for the PNC, we turn a blind eye when it's your government in office.
Absolutely, and this is why a lot of people beat me up. Yog, why are you speaking out? It's supposed to be your government in office. That's the change we want to see. Be the change you want to see, right? Speak out regardless. Truth is truth regardless of what color, what race, what persuasion runs government. It doesn't change. Our Constitution does not give advantage of one over the other. We're all equals.
But it's Article 13, the digit 13, it came out from the Constitution. You plucked out Article 13. What does it say?
There is Article 13 of the Constitution itself, from which we borrowed our name, that speaks to inclusive governance, speaks to the power of the people. And the CCJ, in a court ruling, actually gave a lot of importance to the weight itself of Article 13.
But do you think you'd have shared or inclusive governance in our country? Because there is distrust. There is distrust between the two major parties.
But that's where we have to play an even more important role. Because there is distrust between the two parties, because there is this huge gap that we call the racial imbalance in this country, even more so we have to now come out and speak and be open regardless of what race is it or what power is it that does whatever they're doing. The role or the objective is for us to speak out on good governance, on whether things are happening in the way they ought to, and what's the future we have at stake here. And corruption is one of the biggest things that one can say that is happening presently in front of us in all ways, shape, and form. Nepotism, cronyism, it's all there. Nothing has changed. It's just the people in power have changed.
Yes. And so you're not anti-PPP or anti-PNC. And I've been watching for or listening, reading your choice of words when it comes to issues on corruption. Like, for example, on the Vice interview quite recently, when you came out and you were supportive of the investigation. We'll come to that a little later. But we were on the topic of elections and the balance of power. That's the term I was looking for. And both governments know that the balance lies perhaps quite possibly with the Amerindian community. And they have been patronizing that community. Both parties have been trying to win that because that is where you can strike the balance of power. Am I right?
You are right. Patronizing is the correct word too. Governments are always, look, I'm not going to blame them for that. Governments are always going to see what's the area of the population that they could win over, and they're going to try to win it over. Where our issue, my issue comes, and Article 13's issue comes, whether it's being done according to our laws and regulations. I don't want to see you go take state money and buy a tractor and give it to him because he is going to bring votes to you. You give it to him because he is going to let the community grow with the use of that tractor, to rise the entire level of community, not because you want a vote or 2 votes, but because you want the community to grow and to rise up.
But the Amerindian voices were being united, well, in a large way. And they made a lot of noise at the last election when they found what appeared to be quite a striking leader in Mr. Schuman. Are you disappointed in the performance of Mr. Schuman post-election? Because I did ask him a question. If you're going to work with the PPP, meaning work with their program, take a job from them. And he said that might be the way to help his community. How do you see it?
Well, Mr. Schuman is not in an enviable position. Having a 1 seat in Parliament really gives you nothing, especially if that 1 seat does not place a government in a minority position. So Mr. Schuman has a very delicate balancing act. Does he behave or support the government policies where his people are concerned to the detriment of others? Does he take a position that is just pro-Amerindians, or does he take a position as a national leader?
And what appears...
I think he's been walking a very fine line, and I must say in many of the things that Lennox has been doing, he has been walking that fine line well. I would say that Lennox has good ideas and has good intent. Whether he's allowed to be pulled into the political, the political mess that is Guyana and the politics of Guyana is another thing that his constituents would probably have the final say.
But all this that you're talking about with the ideal situation that you want to see, hence the formation of Article 13, how possible is that? I mean, I'm getting old now. I've been hearing about these hopeful thoughts when GUARD was there and the WPA and all these other entities. How hopeful should I remain?
Very. I tell you what, you mentioned GUARD. We were in the late 1960s, 1970s, early 1980s. What was Guyana's politics like? There was no shade, no shadow, no inclination of democracy. It was a dictatorship.
Shame.
So the WPA's early days, not in the shame that it is now, the GUARD, all of those forces played a wonderful role. We might evaluate the lack of the perfect achievement as not having been done, but don't let us never underestimate what it has achieved. It's brought us to where we are, where we can now stand up and speak out, where we can speak out without fear, without wanting favors. We can evaluate whether a government is doing right or wrong. Can you imagine what Walter Rodney went through, what Chetty Jagan went through, how they had to protect themselves without even state guards, without personal bodyguards? I mean, Rodney was assassinated. I had no bodyguards, right? At that time. So we are better off for their
You're
sacrifices.
an admirer of Walter Rodney.
I'm an admirer of Walter Rodney and Chetty Jagan, yes.
My brothers used to take me to these massive rallies at Border Mall and all of that. But I noticed just now you uttered a word alongside the WPA. Did I hear you say shame and WPA in the same breath?
Well,
are you disappointed with?
Very disappointed that the WPA of Walter Rodney has died with Walter Rodney. That the WPA could not have found it in its heart to speak out against the election impasse. That is the fulcrum upon which we measure what has happened in Guyana and who stands on the side of right or wrong.
But it's not only speaking out on the impasse.
They
have gone further.
Yes.
Dr. David Hines is my biggest disappointment. to even take openly racial lines.
Yes.
Down talking about even a piece of black pudding.
Yes.
But so I am disappointed, and there are some elements in the WPA, and I withdraw the word elements, because people like Dr. Clive Thomas, I would not like to refer to them as elements. They're scholars, but by simply being silent, I think they were all part and parcel
Correct.
of that.
Correct. By being silent,
By
and this
being
is why we got
silent.
to continue speaking out. And once say this in passing, since when is it okay in the year 2022 to tell people across this country it is okay to beat up an Indo-Guyanese because you have a problem against an Indo-Guyanese government? Since when is it okay to tell people, kick them out and do whatever you got to do? It is okay to diss an Afro-Guyanese because it's an Afro-Guyanese in government. It is wrong. It is wrong for us to use our young, easily persuadable souls, be they Indo-Guyanese or
Mentally lazy.
Afro-Guyanese, yes,
Mentally lazy souls.
to just take it out against each other. When you beat up and you steal from people at Monrepo Market, what does that do to the government? Nothing. In fact,
the government might be quite happy.
You make them stronger because they then go do a bailout and all the glory to them. Right? You are making a government stronger by taking stupid and silly actions that is racially inclined. Be intellectual, be strategic. Our foreparents were slaves, were servants, and we got rid of the plantation owners. We owned. Guyanese have owned the plantations from independence to now. What have we made of it, Naim? What have we made of it? We still, in an oil-producing country, we're still telling people we're going to be setting up special facilities for them to lend us money in 2022.
You spoke about intellectual authors. How impressed or disappointed are you in the coming to being, ascending to office by Mr. Aubrey Norton? Because in any country, we actually need not only a brilliant opposition leader, we also need someone that can oppose in a constructive way, objective, legal way. Because you need to force every government and haul them over the coals.
Correct, correct. And the saddest state of affairs we have is an irresponsible opposition, where sometimes you feel there is no opposition in office. I mean, Mr. Norton is there now, and I think time is going to judge him whether he's going to, rise his flock up to that level where they could be seen to be a respectable opposition. I will give him the time.
Freddie Kissoon predicts that he wouldn't be around by 2025. I don't know.
Who, Freddie or Aubrey?
Aubrey. Freddie. Well, Freddie, age is catching up.
No, I didn't mean that at all. I didn't mean age-wise. Freddie's a wonderful guy. He does good analytical work. He has done good analytical work. But, with regards to Aubrey Norton, I don't know that Aubrey's old school politics would be good shaping the future. But at the same time, one would have to agree, Naim, that like the PPP, Jagdev is good for the PPP. You need somebody strong. You need a strong leader that can take all the flack and take all the attack. You look at any attack to the PPP is going to Jagdev, right? And I said so in an interview recently. I don't believe that Jagdev on a personal level is corrupt, right? But judge a man by the people around him. Right? Same with Norton. The PNC needs somebody strong. They need somebody that can, rally the troops, so to speak. Is it Norton? We'll have to see.
But I was wondering, an intellectual bankruptcy might be one way to look at it, but in the last election, I sat right here in the studio and I was like saying, Mr. President, that was Mr. Granger at that time, for Christ's sake, you need to surround yourself to me with more intellectually solid people. They were losing every court case. They were sleeping away in the court. This thing was like a comedy and of errors, and it was actually amusing. But when I compare, and you're from that era as well, when I compare during Mr. Barnum's time, and you look at some of the staffing he had around him and the people, they were all so brilliant,
Yes.
brilliant minds.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
from Rashley Jackson, the finance minister, Mr. what's his name, Greenwich, Shahabuddin, all these great minds were all around Mr. Barnum.
That's true.
You know.
That's true. But I must say this, I somehow, I don't want to use the word sorry, but one has to sometimes feel for what's happening or what happened to Granger. This is not being a pity party in any way. He did have the last laugh, didn't he, with the appointment of the parliamentarians, when he just shunted the whole set aside. And that was really the last hurrah.
Yes.
He changed the shape of politics for the PNC.
Okay, 19 minutes now on the left side of 8 o'clock. We've just got a few minutes. So we'll go for a commercial break, Andre, if you don't mind. When I come back, I want to talk a little bit. I heard from Dr. Yog Mahadeo a short while ago. He doesn't believe Mr. Jagdeo is personally corrupt. We'll expand a little bit on that and the fast rate of, can I say, the workings of the PPP as far as infrastructure and projects are coming on stream, and are we able, do we have the human resource to really cope with this hectic kind of investment issue?
Quality, strength, beauty, value, security. KSM Investments Inc. is leading the way in the manufacture of quality concrete products in Guyana and the Caribbean. Our rock-solid stone hollow blocks have the highest compressive and structural strengths. Our Everlast stone pavers will beautify and add value to any space. Made in Guyana by Guyanese, Everlast stone pavers exceed international standards in quality and are the best ever in Guyana, the Caribbean, and North America. Our products have won the Guyana National Bureau of Standards Gold Award for quality and the Caribbean Award for customer satisfaction. We provide free estimates for our pavers and free delivery for all of our products. Conditions apply. Call or visit us today at Plot MP 8 Good Hope Public Road on the East Coast. Telephone 220-0925, 220-7329, 691-1723, or 673-2297.
At Decor and Gift Gallery on Sheriff Street, we have something for everyone and every home. Choose something special to make that perfect gift, whether it's a birthday, anniversary, or wedding. You can also change your home decor and style with fabulous sofas, beds, and curtains. We even have garden items for outdoor improvement and lots more. Shopping is now so much easier and with greater variety for you to choose from at Decor and Gift Gallery on Sheriff Street, Georgetown.
Beeson Windows and Doors, fully equipped to handle all your commercial projects. Whether you're constructing a small or large commercial building, residential property, or just upgrading your home, they got you covered. Beeson Windows and Doors, providing unmatched quality windows for your home, office, and commercial building. Located at 1228 Eccles Industrial Site. For more information, call 662-4197 or 226-1292.
Right, now 16 minutes on the left side of 8 o'clock. I'm talking with Dr. Yog Mahadeo on the Good Morning Guyana show, and I'm glad that you can join us this morning. Now, we were talking a short while ago, and I hinted that I wanted to hear a little bit about this human resource issue in this country. We have a small population. Are you afraid at the rate at which the PPP is moving? Because I'm worried about human resource factor, getting youngsters graduating from university to fill jobs and so on. But you foresee a problem? Is the government moving too fast?
Not at all.
Not at all.
In fact, I've seen some ridiculous, in my view, ridiculous comments that they're massive. It's going too fast with projects. No. I support the fast pace. I support the fast pace of our infrastructural development, our educational development, and all of these things. In fact, the faster we can do it, the better for us. We don't have time on our side to rise ourselves up as a nation. We gotta be brisk. We gotta be fast. We gotta take advantage of the opportunities coming our way. The problem we have is as you said, human resources, not just to be employed in the industries, but to oversee. The oversight is the problem. This is where government gets bad name for corruption and for all kinds of things, mismanagement and shoddy projects as well.
Oversight.
That's right. So that's where the problem is, that the pace of progress is important, but we must also keep the oversight and the pace of oversight at par.
So you're going to have a big, the government would have to have these oversight committees involving civil society as well, I guess.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely, absolutely.
Everybody doesn't have to be on the payroll. Civils, the churches, everybody can play a part in this.
Correct.
Or should.
Should. It shouldn't just be friends and families. Look, if the PNC has engineers and technicians and people that can be used to serve state agencies, why not employ them? Is it because they're PNC? It's our country. It is our country for all of us. So it's not about PNC and PPP. It's the best man for whatever job.
And of course, if you find them not performing, you can always relieve them.
Of course.
Because the PPP in that case might say, but they will sabotage the system.
I don't think so. Look, the loyalists are people that can sabotage the
Yes.
system. Professionals wouldn't. Professionals see their carrying out a professional duty as first,
And their name at stake.
and their names and their professionalism
At
at
stake.
stake. Yeah. So I see the summarized fast pace is good. Let us go faster if we can, but checks and balances have to be in place. It's like the oil money, right?
Yes.
Oil money. You have, they have named a board. They have named all these committees, management, the NRF board, and so forth has been named. Where is it? Has it met? Has it done any work? Meanwhile, you have started to draw from the oil money. You have started to draw down and use the funds. That's what's wrong. Using the money is good, but whose oversight under whose watch?
One other thing has been bothering me. You're talking about oversight. Do we know, sitting in the studio right now, are we seeing and counting the oil that is being filled into barrels and taken away? Do we have a command over that, or are we guessing? I always wonder about this, and sincerely so.
The ministry, Mr. Barrett, supposed to have had the relevant personnel, skilled personnel in place, and supposed to be doing supposed to be having ongoing oversight, not just on our oil, not just on our profit oil, but the entire operations. You still have exploration costs that are unaudited years after. So the government is indeed lagging and badly lagging in things that are important to this country. It's taking them so long to put their acts together to get the right things done, the checks and balances done. Don't tell me you can't find skills. Don't tell me finally you still end up with a local or a few local auditing firms tendering for that audit job after how many years? It could have been done in the first place. Empower people, get it done. Now, it's easy to say. I'm sure they're going to say, well, Yogi is being emotional and it's easy to say these things, finding the people's heart. But the problem that you have, Niam, is finding the people becomes hard when you want them to put their professionalism aside and become a loyalist to you. That's where the problem is.
That's the problem. This phrase is gaining momentum in Guyana, pump, baby, pump. Pump the oil as much as we can, as fast as we can. What's your take on this?
You know why? Because we have signed on to an international accord that ought to see the reduction of dependence on fossil fuel by 2050.
But Jagdeo is countering that and saying, okay, well, we'll stop pumping. Let the world stop. They wouldn't.
They wouldn't. And I don't disagree that we should accelerate our extraction. I do not disagree.
Because you remain poor.
Good.
And the other guys are pumping and they're rich already.
Exactly, right? So my thing is, I support, let us accelerate what we can do for our extractive industries. But at the same time, you are getting billions of dollars. And you can't find the right monitors and the right auditors and the right persons to ensure that you're getting your correct dollars and cents.
Yes, exactly.
And that's where the problem is. We're too busy on looking at how much we can gain and not realizing how much we are losing. And this is why I took a stand on this oil contract. It's robbing us blind. But what are we doing?
But I've been hearing about possibility of moving to the court and all of this. Have you guys been from the civil society deliberating on this?
Yes, we have. It's engaging a lot of attention, and I must tell you that we have to continue demanding that the oil contract be renegotiated, that a few things must come in place so that Guyana we can stop the rape of our natural
can
resources.
we legally renegotiate? Is that
Of course.
Is that option available to us?
Of course it
course.
is. Of course it is. Look, a contract has parties to a contract. There's not one side, it's not Exxon contract. There's an Exxon and Guyana contract. There are two parties. One party can say, listen, this contract is bad in faith. You misrepresented facts to us when we were signing. That's pretty much in public domain now. We were never told the amount of deposits that they were foreseeing ahead at that time when we signed. In fact, Ramsatan said, we only signed because we were desperate
We
for
were
money. What
desperate
kind of
for
nonsense
money.
is that?
Exactly.
Where is your professionalism?
I thought he should have stayed quiet, like what Rumi advised us to do this morning.
So to come back to the point, the contract can, and it does accommodate. It says both parties have to agree. So at least let one party say, well, we want to start.
I see. And actually, I think the PPP said that in their campaign trail.
The PPP promised that they're going to renegotiate. Now, many of the loyalists are bashing me and saying, well, a contract is a contract, and sanctity of covenant is Jagdeo's words, which I have a problem with, by the way, and that, you can't change the contract. Was Jagdeo and Ali Duns then in opposition, and they're bright now? They had the contract then. In fact, not many people realize in 2016, the PPP, Madam Gail Teixeira and Mr. Odinga, Lumumba, they spoke in the National Assembly when APNU AFC shamefully tried to rush this resolution through the National Assembly for this contract to be passed, right? And there's a weird, can be coincidence, a weird thing happened now. In 2016, APNU AFC rushed the resolution through Parliament. In 2020, 2021, PPP PNC rushed the NRF Act through Parliament.
Politics. You mentioned the AFC just now and Ramjatan. In a nutshell, what are your feelings on them? I don't know how to phrase this question because for me they are a disappointment and I don't know. But how do you see them and the next election coming up?
I don't know that the AFC...
Freddie says dead meat.
Yeah, I agree with Freddie. I don't know that the AFC has morality on their side to even get a seat.
To even speak. I thought, many of them would have gone into exile after the last election.
They should still consider that.
I don't know if they realize, because Mr. Ramjatan is still making statements. I don't know if they realize how much hurt they have inflicted on fair-minded people like Niam Chand. I don't know if they understand.
I agree. But not only that, how much they have dented the hopes of Guyanese for a viable third force that can be the balance between the two big behemoths.
Talking about third force, we just have about 2 or 3 minutes. I was reading the other day, someone was alluding to a potential third force in the making with people like Yog Mahadeo. That's why I asked you in the beginning of this interview if you're ambitious and you will enter politics in the fray at some stage.
I didn't read that report you're referring to.
Conveniently so.
I didn't read it.
But just before you go, because we just have a few minutes, the ViceNews, you mentioned earlier that you do not believe that Mr. Jagdeo is personally corrupt. So what's your take on this whole investigation? Because nowhere along that interview was he actually caught red-handed anyway.
Correct. I think, look, Jagdeo is a smart guy. Jagdeo is... I don't believe he has the need to want to steal a cent. They're well off. Politicians of Guyana are the most wealthy people in this country. So that being said, I don't believe that Jagdeo has engagement in personal engagement in corruption. The problem we have is that what they're doing, the words he used, for example, to saying Sue gets whatever he wants, and there are many Sues in Guyana. You check that article, the interview I did. There are many Sues, many middlemen. The president on one hand is saying don't bother with the middlemen, but they're empowering them.
Yes.
You have Ministry of Housing empowering middlemen. You have Ministry of Natural Resources empowering middlemen. All over the place you have middlemen and middlewomen.
They emerge.
Yes.
You never heard about them or seen them.
Yes, tourism can't do any tourism for Guyana. They take middle people to do it. And so, but the problem you have is that the middlemen are friends and families. It's corruption. And that's where it goes wrong. So all the people, even the loyalists, many of them, they don't get anything except an opportunity to garland the leader.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's the friends and families that laugh all the way to the bank, and they don't even have a party card, many of them.
Mr. Dr. Mahadeo, it was a pleasure talking with you. My time is up. We've gone past, actually.
Thank you.
So, pleasure meeting you, this time in more a formal setting. I hope to have another discussion with you sometime in the near
Always available. Thank you, and thank the viewers, and thank the station management for having me here.
I got to say goodbye now.